Women are half the value of men. Qur'anic misogyny or weak Qur'an study. Women are not a puppet on a string. The offending verse.
O you who have chosen to be graced with belief, when you transact a loan for any period, you shall write it down. An impartial scribe shall do the writing. No scribe shall decline to perform this duty, and write as God has taught him, the debtor, or in case he or she is incompetent, his representative shall dictate the document honestly and be mindful of his Lord, and diminish not the amount. There shall be 2 witnesses to the transaction from among your men. If 2 men are not available, then let there be 1 man and 2 women, all of them you satisfactorily consider competent as witnesses, so that even if the witnessing woman gets distracted, the accompanying woman may support and remind her. All witnesses should be such that their testimony is acceptable to all. It is the obligation of the witnesses to testify when called upon to do so. Do not tire of writing the details, no matter how long, including the time of repayment. This is equitable in the sight of God, assures better witnessing, and eliminates any doubts you may have. When it is actual merchandise that you transfer among yourselves from hand to hand, there is nothing wrong for you if you write it not, but have it witnessed. The scribe and the witnesses must be held harmless for their services. If you harm them, it would be wickedness on your part. If you follow God's commands, He will increase you in knowledge. These are the injunctions of God, who is the knower of all things.
Women wars. As 2 women have to replace 1 man in this procedure, the Bukharians and Islamophobics take this to mean a woman has less value than a man. The Quran strikes back.
As for those who accuse their wives, but have no witnesses except themselves, then let the accuser call God 4 times to witness that he is telling the truth, and the 5th time, that God may reject him if he is telling a lie. But punishment shall be averted from her if she calls God 4 times as witness that he is telling a lie. And the 5th time, that God may reject her if he is telling the truth. The court shall then punish neither the husband nor the wife. And it infers that the same procedure applies if the wife accuses her husband. The couple in the presence of the court will decide for or against divorce.
Here, the testimony of 1 man cannot overrule the testimony of 1 woman, so her value is either the same as a man's or higher, but that is not all. The return of the Quran.
Protecting the honor of a woman is extremely important. Those who accuse noble women and then fail to produce for witnesses, the court of laws shall order to carry out 80 lashes to such accusers, and never in the future accept their testimony. They have drifted away from morality. Fasiq, one who drifts away from what will depend on the context, except those who afterward repent and reform. For God is forgiving, merciful.
Before the verses about 1 man, we have the above that says that 4 reputable witnesses need to be brought forward to prove the guilt of an accused woman. 3 righteous men or hundreds of disreputable men cannot overrule the testimony of 1 woman. What value a woman now according to the Quran? And let us see some other women elevating verses. Equal rights and equal obligations.
Surely, for Muslim men and Muslim women, believing men and believing women, devoted men and devoted women, truthful men and truthful women, steadfast men and steadfast women, humble men and humble women, charitable men and charitable women, abstinent men and abstinent women, abstaining from all vices, chaste men and chaste women, men who remain mindful of God and women who remain mindful of God. For them, God has readied forgiveness and an immense reward. Covet not the qualities bestowed upon others by God. Men shall earn what they do and women shall earn what they do. Men excel in some areas and women excel in some areas. Envy not one another, but seek God's bounty to the best of your abilities. God is ever knower of all things.
Female work will not be wasted.
Thus their Lord accepts and answers their prayer. Indeed, I never let the work of any worker, male or female, go to waste. You are members of one another. So, those who emigrate, and are driven from their homelands, and suffer harm in my cause, and fight, and are slain, I shall certainly blot out their faults, erasing the imprints of their misdeeds on their self. I will admit them into gardens with streams flowing beneath, a handsome return from God's presence. 4. With God is the fairest return of actions.
Female work will not be wasted. Both responsible for deeds to enter paradise.
And whoever fulfills the needs of people, whether male or female, and is a believer, will enter paradise. And not the least injustice will be done to them, not amounting to the speck on a date stone. Who has a better deen, system of life, than the one who submits completely to God, and thus becomes a benefactor of humanity? Such a person is following the way of Abraham the upright, whom God chose for friend.
Men and women equal in building an Islamic society.
And the believers, men and women, are colleagues one of another. They encourage virtue and discourage vice. Together, they help establish the divine system, and set up the just economic order of zakat. This is how they obey God and His messenger. These are the men and women on whom God will shower His mercy. 4. God is exalted in power, wise. The believing men and women do not deliver empty lectures. They enjoin virtue and forbid vice by personal example, knowing that the Qur'an is the eternal criterion of right and wrong. 185. Good and evil, right and wrong are not vague entities. The Qur'an clearly defines them. 177 and many other verses. In short, good is all that helps people and evil is all that hurts them.
Working together, supporting each other in every aspect of our lives will produce far more lasting and rewarding results than going alone or hindering women. One for all and all for one. The Qur'an Unchained.